If you've ever stood in a grocery store looking at rows of fruit spreads, you've probably wondered something simple. How does jam differ from jelly? They look similar, taste similar, and are often used the same way, on toast, in sandwiches, or in desserts. But despite how interchangeable they seem, jam and jelly are actually made in different ways, and those differences affect their texture, appearance, and even flavor. In this video, we're going to break it down. What's the real difference between jam and jelly? How jam and jelly are made, why they look different, where they came from, and why the distinction still matters today. By the end, you'll never confuse the two again. Let's dive in, right here, on History of Simple Things. At its core, the real difference between jam and jelly comes down to how the fruit is used. Jelly is made from fruit juice, which means the pulp, seeds, and skins are removed before cooking, leaving only the clear liquid behind. Jam, by contrast, is made from crushed or mashed fruit, so small pieces of the fruit remain in the final spread. Because of this, jam usually feels thicker and more textured, while jelly is smoother and more uniform in consistency. Both are cooked with sugar and often pectin, a natural substance found in fruit that helps the mixture thicken and set. This difference in preparation also explains why jam often looks cloudy or opaque, while jelly tends to be clear and slightly translucent. Even though they can be used in similar ways, that contrast in texture and appearance is usually the easiest way to tell them apart at a glance. To really understand jam, you have to look at how it's made from start to finish. Jam begins with whole fruit that's chopped, crushed, or mashed rather than strained, which means the flesh of the fruit stays in the mixture. The fruit is then cooked with sugar and sometimes added pectin until it thickens into a soft, spreadable consistency. Because the pulp remains, jam usually looks opaque and textured, often containing seeds or small fruit pieces depending on the type of fruit used. Its consistency is generally looser than jelly, making it easy to spread but not firm enough to hold a clean shape when sliced. Many people describe jam as tasting fuller or richer since more of the fruit's natural body is preserved. Jelly is made in a similar way to jam, but includes an extra step that changes the final texture. Instead of cooking the fruit itself, the fruit is first crushed and heated to release its juice, which is then carefully strained to remove all pulp, seeds, and skins. The clear juice is cooked with sugar and pectin until it thickens into a smooth, gel-like consistency. Because only the juice is used, jelly turns out clearer, firmer, and more uniform than jam. A well-set jelly can even hold its shape when sliced or spooned. This smooth texture is what makes jelly spread evenly and look glossy in the jar. The way jam and jelly are prepared leads directly to differences in texture, appearance, and taste. Jam is usually thicker and more spreadable, with small fruit pieces that give it a slightly uneven texture. Jelly, by contrast, is smooth, firm, and often translucent, which gives it a cleaner and more uniform look. Flavor can differ as well, since jam contains more fruit solids and often tastes fuller, while jelly can taste lighter because it's made only from juice. Even so, both are quite similar nutritionally and are often used in the same foods, from toast to pastries. In many recipes, either one can be substituted depending on the texture you prefer. The choice often comes down to whether you enjoy the texture of real fruit pieces or the smooth consistency of a clear spread. Jam and jelly depend on more than just fruit to achieve their final form. Sugar and pectin play essential roles in the process. Sugar is not only there for sweetness, but also acts as a preservative by reducing the amount of available water, which helps limit the growth of microorganisms. Pectin, a natural fiber found in many fruits, is responsible for the thick, gel-like structure that defines both spreads. When fruit sugar and acid are heated together, pectin molecules bond in a way that traps liquid and creates that familiar set texture. Some fruits, such as apples and citrus fruits, are naturally high in pectin, which makes them easier to turn into firm spreads. Others, like strawberries, contain less pectin and often need added pectin to thicken properly. The balance between sugar, acid, and pectin must be just right, or the mixture may turn out too runny or overly stiff. This careful balance is what gives jam and jelly their stable texture and long shelf life. Jam and jelly didn't start as breakfast spreads. They started as a survival technique. Before refrigeration, preserving fruit in sugar was one of the best ways to keep it edible for months. The practice dates back centuries, with early versions of fruit preserves appearing in the Middle East and later spreading to Europe, where sugar became more widely available. Over time, these preserved fruits became popular not just for storage, but for their taste, eventually turning into the jams and jellies we know today. Even though modern refrigeration has reduced the need for preservation, these spreads remain a staple in many kitchens around the world. So what is the real difference between jam and jelly? In simple terms, jelly is made from fruit juice and is smooth, clear, and firm, while jam is made from crushed fruit and is thicker, softer, and more textured. Both rely on sugar and pectin. Both were originally created as methods of preserving fruit, and both are still widely enjoyed today. In the end, choosing between jam and jelly comes down to preference. Some like the smoothness of jelly, others the richer texture of jam. Now that you know how they're made, you'll know exactly what you're getting and why it looks and tastes the way it does. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.